All right, Michael Hyam, you're our regular. What are you laughing about?
It's like I didn't expect you to call me.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're the brains of this organization.
Oh, jeez, please don't say that.
I'm the wild card. Jake's the muscle. Jean-Luc's the looks. Michael Hyam, you are our regular PC hardware and games expert here in GameSpot.
Sure.
I want to throw you a softball right away.
All right.
PC gaming in 2018. What are the broad strokes? How did it go? Improvements?
Let's see. I'll start with the hardware stuff. I'll get the boring stuff out of the way now. I'm just kidding. It's kind of exciting this year, at least. Well, depends on how you look at it, because NVIDIA dropped their new video cards late this year, and their big thing was like, yo, we're bringing ray tracing to video games, and it's kind of like, all right, that's cool, like, especially with all their demos, and it's more or less a proof of concept. You know, it's gonna take a while for games to adapt to new graphics technologies, so they're out there on stage like showing like, yo, this is how Metro Exodus is gonna look, this is how Battlefield 5 is gonna look with ray tracing, and it's like, all right, that's cool, but when I play Battlefield 5, like, I'm not gonna be paying attention to reflections and all other stuff. But the video cards themselves are an improvement over past generation, but they are pretty expensive, so it's that also plays into cryptocurrency. I don't need to go through that whole thing again, but it's worth mentioning because for a very long time, it was impossible to get video cards for MSRP, regular price. And so everyone who was into PC gaming like threw a fit. And I mean, it was kind of, I understand why, because, you know, to get a $400 card for $1,000 is ridiculous because people were mining cryptocurrency. But now that's kind of died down. But I think like with the new video cards coming in, I almost feel like the regular price for these cards have gotten higher, but you usually see that throughout history. But at this rate, I feel like, you know, PC hardware is still getting really expensive. So I kind of understand the sentiment, like when things are too expensive to upgrade or buy new hardware. I don't know, that's just how I feel.
Did cryptocurrency affect the pricing of that stuff as much as it did last year? Because last year was like when that really
2018
spiked.
was peak.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it really hit this year. So. Yeah, it was really tough to get video cards, and so it was kind of like I checked out of PC gaming hardware for a while, and I was like, I'll come back when it dies down, and it died down as soon as NVIDIA started like rolling out new video cards. So, you know, stuff's still expensive though.
Word. All right, you two, I know you played like pretty much most PC exclusives this year. Between the four of us, I think we all did. We can get into other games that play best on PC, but Jake, what was the standout PC game this year that you might not have been able to play, or you wouldn't have been able to play on consoles at this point?
I think The Forest.
Guys, I got this.
Jesus! Jesus, Rob!
Guys, take a break. I got this. Sit this one out, guys.
I mean, I guess that came out a while ago. It was in early access. They updated it regularly until finally it came out this year. I want to say like February.
It was early.
It was early this year. But I didn't play any of the early access stuff. I just jumped in when it came out, did some co-op, and it ended up being probably the most engaging game I've played all year.
That's like all the office was talking about for like 2 weeks.
Yeah, it was, you'd all play together and you'd uncover this story together while doing all these survival elements, which I know people are kind of tired of those, especially with Fallout 76. People are like, all right, I don't want survival in my games. But I think the way they did it was really clever, how they kind of pieced the story out as you go. You can kind of discover it in any way you want to, and it's not super exposition heavy, so you don't really need to be paying attention. You just walk through a cave, find a new item that you're stoked because that means you can get to a new area within the caves, and then you find a small piece of storytelling, and this builds to a very exciting ending, I would say, where you explore this locked vault. I don't want to spoil it just in case anyone's interested in it, but I remember coming in the office and just being so excited to get home, see what's behind that vault, see what's next, plan out what we're gonna do, where we're gonna build our next fort. It was a blast. Like that is definitely the highlight of 2018 for me so far.
That's one of your favorite games of the year, right?
I think so. It's up there. It's probably like 2 or 3.
As of this recording, as of the previous weekend, that's on PS4 as well.
It is on PS4 now. So,
but PC, the vast majority of the year.
I definitely give it a shot on PS4 if you don't have a PC, but it seems like I have a feeling PC is probably the best way to play it. Just mouse and keyboard, it probably runs a lot smoother because even that game kind of didn't run the best as I was playing it. But I haven't played PS4, so I can't really speak to that. But it's definitely worth a try.
Oh my god, I am hauling. Oh, I just...
Oh god. Oh Jesus. Oh boy.
Oh my god, Jean-Luc is flying so fast.
Do you have a PC exclusive, so to speak, that really stood out this year, aside from The Forest?
Yeah, so for me, like PC was kind of where I could find some of those more niche titles that kind of like fill that specific void that people are looking for. Pillars of Eternity 2, keeping the CRPG genre alive, although I guess it's the last independent game from Obsidian now that they've been acquired by Microsoft. I'm hoping that Microsoft still lets them like put out these kinds of games that are like just focused on PC.
Yeah.
Because it's really, really good. Like it's a sequel to Pillars of Eternity 1, and it continues that story in a way that reminds me of like Baldur's Gate 1 to 2, but they just add so much. Like it takes place in the like southern half of the continent in the world, so it's all like pirate themed. You get a boat. They add this whole like boat mini game where you're like fighting other ships, but it's all just like text menus and sound effects. It's a great example of a game that uses, does a lot with like a small budget. Like, I mean, it uses these like pre-rendered backgrounds like old school CRPGs did, but because of like modern tech, they are like some of the most beautiful like pre-rendered backgrounds you've ever seen. And it gives the game like a really gorgeous art style that you could tell they were able to do like really cheaply. Because it was kickstarted, I believe, as well. And yeah, I mean, it still got that great writing. I think I was a little concerned because Chris Avalon left, and like he was heavily involved in the first one. I think there are aspects of the first one I like better, but like the writing is still really sharp. Like Obsidian still got, like I think they are at this point probably my favorite Western RPG developer.
My personal favorite PC game this year was Thronebreaker, The Witcher Tales.
Your Grace, yet more come.
They fill their bellies, man. This doesn't bode well. Oh no, not well at all.
It's easy to just say it's Gwent with a story mode, but holy shit, like I started playing it a few weeks ago. Like Jake, I know you've been covering a lot and you played a lot of Gwent. Coming out from CD Projekt as like a spin-off, I think it is the perfect spin-off. I've talked about it a lot, how it gives you a different perspective on like the Northern Kingdoms and Geralt. Like you see Geralt, and that's no secret now, he's in a lot of the key art, but you're playing Queen Meve, and the fact that she is a ruler and you have these difficult decisions to make, and it kind of makes sense. You're building up your deck or your army as you're trying to, like, again, I'm not going to spoil anything, but the way that game weaves its like deck building card game, which I don't traditionally care for. I played a little bit of Hearthstone and that was about it. The way it weaves that into a legitimately fantastic RPG story set in the Witcher universe was like absolutely nuts, and I loved it. And I know that's also coming to consoles soonish, but obviously like throughout the year, the main way to play that was on PC.
The voice acting and writing, the voice acting in particular, is just top notch.
Yeah.
Like Queen Meve, that whoever, I wish I knew who voiced her, but it's so
Really good.
Yeah.
My threats are never hollow. And if it's an escape you weigh, well, we've yet to see any man abscond from the dungeons of Lyria Castle.
Also, the card battles are not just, hey, it's just Gwent with AI like opponents. Like probably the best part about that game is like the puzzle battles where you're given a very specific set of cards and like a certain conditions you have to meet.
And like one turn to accomplish it.
Yeah, and like only a certain amount of turns, and those like you'll just kind of like keep like banging your head like again and again, but you're like, no, I'm so close. Like I know exactly how to do it.
Yeah, they have like one health point left and you lose, and you're like, there's just like one miss. Like I just need to order this correctly.
And that's like really satisfying, and it. Like, even if you're like, oh, I don't really like card games, like that at that point it's not a card game, it's a puzzle game using these cards, and like that in itself is just like really interesting.
If you don't like card games, you can skip all of those and just do the story.
That's true.
That in itself I think is really good. Like after you get past that first chapter and like the inciting incident, I guess you'd say, happens, it like really picks up and it goes some pretty neat places, I'd say.
And even in a year when Red Dead Redemption 2 came out, I think Thronebreaker is my favorite soundtrack. That soundtrack is utterly amazing. It's still got the loots and everything you expect from the Witcher universe, but it's just like super anthemic, like amped up kind of music when you're battling, but then also these quiet ambient songs when you're not.
Eddie Glover. The castle is secure, Your Grace.
All right, well, I feel like I have to at least mention Oberdin, which I've been playing a ton of. It's by Lucas Pope, the guy who made Papers, Please, for those who are familiar with that game. And it's like an old school first-person like murder mystery game. I grew up playing games like Myst and like
60 times, murder mystery times 60.
yeah, murder mystery times 60. It's like you're an insurance agent who's on this ship and you're trying to figure out like what happened to the crew, and you have this compass device that lets you see the moment in which a person died. So you'll just get like the audio right before, and then you see their death. You have this logbook where you're basically like, okay, this person, I have to figure out who they are, like how they died, and who killed them. And you're basically like taking like mental notes, and you're kind of like hopping back in time through like the different sections of like the ship's voyage, and you're like, okay, well, I know this guy shot him, but I don't know who that guy's name is. And then you'll find like an event that happened like 60 days before, where like he was in an argument with this other guy, and that guy mentions his name. So like, okay, now I know who that guy is. It sounds really complicated, but I think the best thing about it is that the game is designed in a way. It designs the journal in a very elegant, clean way, where it's actually not that hard to like keep track of all the pieces, and that's to me is like the glue that holds it all together. I feel like this game could have been really easy to just fall apart, where you're like, I have no idea what I'm doing, or it's way too hard. I can't keep track of all this. But I think the game is designed in such a way that it just, you feel really, really smart whenever you figure like, I know who that guy is.
Yeah, I mean, it's as good as it can be right before it gets overwhelming. He walked the line like perfectly before it got like too much.
Totally.
And it is one of the better games of the year, and you can only play it on PC.
Yeah, and that art style, oof.
Yeah, and you can change it between like the Commodore 64, like in the menu, and like between all the other.
Yeah, like different like IBM computers, and like it defaults to like a Macintosh, and
yeah,
that's so cool.
Oh fuck, really?
Yeah.
You can make it like the orange of the Commodore 64. I feel like most years, some of the best games can be played on PC. Like just to think back, like a few years ago, there's Witcher 3, Overwatch. I think you have the option to play those games on PC. This year, as of now, with no Red Dead Redemption 2 on PC yet, people are still waiting for Rockstar to say what their plans are with that, because the original Red Dead did not come to PC and still has not. Do you think, I think PC players in terms of exclusives are missing out on some of they are on the best games of the year.
Yeah, I definitely think so. I think my sentiment with PC gaming was like, oh, this is the best platform to play multi-platform games. And that still holds true. Like for me, playing a lot of FPS, like I always go to PC. Like keyboard and mouse controls, and also being able to do like 60 FPS has been always my thing. So I do think about the exclusives that they are missing out on, and it's I think now more than ever, it's like, yeah, they are missing out on some very big games. I mean, there's God of War franchise has been around for a long time, but like there's something particularly special about that game, and then Red Dead Redemption 2. And then Spider-Man. It's like, damn, like I spent more time, like I usually play PC whenever I can, but this year and last year I played my PS4 more than PC. So, but going back to your point about how PC is very much for these niche games, and I still think that there's like value in that. This is like the platform where people can experiment and do smaller size projects that try very different things. There's still a lot of innovation in PC games. But it's not going to come from, the big AAA games that use these new video cards that just came out. Like Battlefield 5 is a multi-platform game. Plays and looks best on PC. I'm going to play that game on PC all the time. But I mean, where the innovation happens with games like Oberdin, with games like Thronebreaker is going to come to consoles, but that originated on PC. There's still a lot of dope stuff out there.
Frostpunk.
Frostpunk. That's an exclusive right there, and that's not a game that's going to like push video cards or anything. So there's still innovation happening on PC. And then also going back to when I was talking about video cards, like I used to be all about like when the RTX cards came out, I was like, this is cool, but I'm not really feeling that enthusiasm anymore. I guess because like all the games that I do want to play on PC don't require that. Like I still have a GTX 970 in one of my computers, and I still can play everything I want to on PC. So that's 2 generations behind the RTX cards that just came out this year. So I don't really feel the urge to jump onto that new ship.
No.
Also, like it's kind of fascinating. I feel like this year is when Microsoft and Sony's efforts to adapt that PC hardware improvement cycle with their consoles. I
Yeah.
feel like this year, maybe it's just because Red Dead Redemption 2 looked so good on Xbox One X specifically,
Yeah.
and not just the Pro, like even more so on the X. I feel like those efforts to move more toward that life cycle of like PC parts and not just the old like 7 years one console and then
Yeah.
we bring out the PS4. I feel like that came to fruition pretty well this year. And I wonder if, I know the gap isn't closed at all between consoles and PC, but I wonder if like there is the sense that it closed the gap a lot.
Yeah, and also when you think about like Xbox is kind of making a big deal about keyboard and mouse support. So I mean, it's not like we haven't seen it in action really all that much yet, but you know, it's progress. So at some point, like maybe it's going to be like, well, okay, we're going to have, for example, whatever Obsidian comes out with is going to come out PC and Xbox. It's like, well, if I have it on One X and I have keyboard and mouse support, then you know, they're kind of stepping on toes of the PC if you look at it that way. But I mean, Microsoft runs Windows, so it's like, I suppose that it doesn't matter all that much what platform you play on. I think that there's a lot of conversations going on where like, hey, games are going to be moving to streaming services rather than, you know, hard disk copies. I mean, we're already doing digital downloads most of our games. So what's the next step is probably going to be streaming. We saw that with like, NVIDIA's always done GeForce Now. It's still in beta, but Google did the Project Stream for AC Odyssey. And when I tested that out, I was kind of like, all right, this kind of works. This is it's not the best quality, but you know, it's running fine for that type of game. So, but I think about a lot of the PC games that have stood the test of time are like multiplayer games. Like still play a lot of Counter-Strike. I will never play that through a streaming service because of how precise and how fast that game happens. And so, I mean, I don't know, maybe we'll get to a point where it's negligible, but at least Google Project Stream was a proof of concept that, you know, this can work fairly easily too, because it ran perfectly fine in my eyes.
Yeah, no matter what, at the end of the day, my PC is still the best place to play Rainbow Six Siege, which is still the best game around.
Yeah, I was actually going to mention that. Like,
hey man, I ain't gonna argue with you
like
on
even
that.
there's all these great exclusives. Like the game I still come back to on PC is Rainbow Six Siege,
Still playing
and
that, yeah.
that's like probably my most played PC game last year. This year,
Yeah, and it's what most people play continuing games like Fortnite on PC.
I was
and
going to say like Overwatch.
Overwatch on PC, yeah,
I got
because
back into it with like Lucy and Joey and stuff, and it's just so easy to jump back on my PC, and everything is just already updated, and I don't have to like, I don't know, I don't have to worry about the Xbox One download speeds or anything.
like-
I don't have to bring it into the office for the higher speed. I actually want to get back to playing Siege, but if you're watching, we have a full report card on GameSpot.com from the editorial team going more into specifics about PC in 2018. So go check that out, and we will be covering other platforms throughout the coming weeks. See you then.